My dear student, colleagues, and all the viewers who are watching this program live from Facebook page and YouTube channel, I'd like to welcome you all to our International Physics webinar. So good evening to all here in Bangladesh and a very good afternoon to all those who are watching this program live from Poland. Today it's our 88th International Physics webinar, and I hope you're well and safe from Corona pandemic. All we know that we are staying in a Corona pandemic situation. We cannot continue our normal academic program inside the campus, so we have to start our online program to continue our academic program. Our Department of Physics, Pabna University of Science and Technology, has started its online program, including online International Physics webinar and online classes. So we are trying to adjust with this new normal situation, and we have successfully completed our 87th International Physics webinar already, and today it's our 88th. And today is a very important day for our department. Today I'd like to welcome you all to a joint session between the Department of Physics, Pabna University of Science and Technology, and Analog Astronaut Training Center, Poland, in astronaut training. So we have with us here today Dr. Agata Kołodziejczyk, Madam, and Director of the Scientific Project Manager at Analog Astronaut Training Center, Poland. And she has already connected with us, so I'd like to welcome our speaker. So good evening, Madam, and good afternoon to your part, and thanks for accepting our invitation. And we'd like to say thanks on the behalf of the Department of
Good evening, students.
Yeah. So we'd like to say thanks on the behalf of the Department of Physics, Pabna University of Science and Technology, for accepting our invitation. This is the very good opportunity for our students to learn a lot of things about how to be an astronaut from you. So thanks for giving us opportunity to arrange this type of webinar. So it's your time, madam. You can start your session.
Okay, so we can start. I will just run the presentation. I hope all you can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
And the topic of today's lecture is train like an astronaut to reach the stars. And this, in fact, is a very interesting topic. And I guess you will expect the motivation lecture, how you can be an astronaut, how you can reach the stars. And as the beginning of this lecture, I would like to just give you some questions that are worth thinking during this lecture and mostly after this lecture. But this is a topic basically about human versus robots in space. Many people think that space is very harmful environment for humans, and it would be great if we only could operate using robots in space. So of course we have satellites, we have several fancy instruments out on the orbit or in deep space environment. But of course, many people think that these machines, these robots, are not sufficient in their function, which should be exploration of space. Exploration is the feature that is mostly a human feature. So machines cannot explore unless we will not write a specific algorithm what they should do. And that is the problem that, for example, robots, rovers that are on Mars, actually, they do their job for more than 10, 20 years, but this job could be done by a human in a couple of days. So we see here some time, big time problem. So we can send one human or 100 robots to do the same, and especially this issue of exploration. So my first question here in this lecture is to think about the definition of exploration. So what does this mean to explore, and how we could possibly learn artificial intelligence to explore new things? Look how this is complex task to do this. Can we do this? Or we can start to think ad absurdum, from the opposite. Can we learn humans to become robots? to lose this exploration function, to lose our will to do something new, something more interesting. Our brain is getting bored very fast. So could we make the opposite? Could we become a machine, robots? And I think the thinking about these two processes, neuronal networks and programming them in two different types of beings, of functional beings, this could give us very interesting ways where to go and how to solve some problems. And then another thing related with space exploration and being in space, not on the Earth, but beyond, is to think about our energy sources. So what humans are running on which kind of energy source? Of course, we know that we eat food in order to process, to metabolize several basic components, mostly sugars. Our brain is fed on sugars, yes, on glucose. What kind of other energy types maybe are powering our brain? Can you, as a physicist, as a strict-minded person, think about how to feed our human neuronal network? Because this is, I think, another very interesting, unexplored field of science, how to do this and where to develop. Then, of course, we can think, what is the energy source for robots? This is already easy. You can say, yes, we have light, we have solar panels to power robots, we have some chemical reactions, some batteries, some accumulators, and this we can use to empower robots, to run machines. So this energy source is another very important physical thing that must be considered when we want to become alive beyond the Earth. And probably you know that human spaceflight is very expensive now, very expensive issue. It requires special spaceships with life support systems, because we humans cannot survive in harsh environments such as space conditions without air, without food, without water. So we need to build a special spaceships that can sustain life. But then again, the question is what life is. Can be the definition of life assessed only to a single creature, living creature? Or maybe life is something more. It's not closed in some body, some organism. Maybe life is some relation, some function, combining all creatures, all organisms in a big ecosystem together. So also we need to think about what life is if we want to live in space. And here you see the Soyuz capsule. This is the mostly used spaceship in the world, belonging to Russia. This spaceship carries 3 people. And now we have a new models of such spaceships carrying people to the space, to the orbit and beyond. And for example, here in Europe, in States, also we build Orion capsule, which you can see on this slide. And then in the United States, we have Orion capsule. I will come back here. Carries 4 people on board of this spaceship. So Soyuz had 3 people carrying to space. Orion capsule has 4 people, 4 astronauts. And then we see 2 other building spaceships. One belongs to Boeing Starliner, carrying up to 7 astronauts. And then we have a Dragon capsule built by SpaceX, which carries also up to 7 astronauts. And here you see people, dreamers who want to go to space, astronauts. And this is the group of people that we are going to speak about. There is not a lot of such people in the world. Of course, there is more and more, but you know that it is very to become an astronaut. It's the matter of politics, mostly the politics, the matter of safety, the matter of a special training. And maybe we can't be chosen by politicians, by our countries to become a paid astronaut, but there is a more likely that we will be a commercial astronauts, because now these capsules that you see on this slide, they are a hope for all of us who dream to be an astronaut in the future, maybe not governmental astronaut, but maybe commercial one, maybe a tourist in space. And also we see that inside the capsules that are lifting people to space, now this movement is changing. Here you see the inside of the Soyuz capsule, which is like a small car, and you can see a display full of buttons. So you need to really learn what to do and what kind of procedure you should use here. And here you see the inside of the Dragon capsule, completely different panel, which is touch screen. And the capsule is fully controlled by computers, by people in the ground station. So times are changing. For us, times are changing for better situation, because we are more and more likely to be in space. And for example, here we have a project to build a station not orbiting our planet, but orbiting the moon. The future is very optimistic because we want to build the base on the moon. And we have several projects. What kind of base should be built on the moon? Moon is very interesting celestial body to search. And there is still lots of things to do considering exploration, something what I was mentioning in the beginning of this lecture. So this exploration issue will definitely involve humans, not robots. Robots can help us in, transport, in building some infrastructure. Of course, this can help humans, but I can't imagine personally exploration without humans. I simply cannot imagine this. And here you see International Space Station, which is a very big international project, the most expensive one. Now we have 20 years anniversary of work of astronauts on this base. And we already know technologies, we already know many solutions how to survive in space, how to live in space. The only thing is that we need to make it cheaper and more accessible to others. And we should somehow use our knowledge, this development of technology, to go further and to develop our civilization. Here you see the inside of International Space Station. There are, of course, several issues related with astronaut health. Basically, microgravity is not very nice for human body, is not very nice for living creatures. It is simply not comfortable. So it would be great if we could have some gravity. Then this ISS, International Space Station, is also the most expensive hotel for space tourism. It is roughly $36,000 per night. So it's quite expensive to be there. But even more expensive is the launch cost. So to get to the ISS and to come back to Earth. And here you see some roadmap, some vision prepared by futuretimeline.net, which shows estimated costs to low Earth orbit for so many years until 2100. And here you can see that the trend will be like in case of laptops, in case of mobile phones, that everything will aim to be less and less expensive. And there are several concepts, several new ideas how to decrease the launch cost, because this is now the crucial barrier to explore. And another questions for you to think after this lecture is how to create a cheap space transport. Please write me below the Facebook lecture window. What are your ideas? What are your concepts? How to cope with the gravity? Maybe there is some solution, of course, undiscovered yet. How to cope with this force, with gravity? Can we use maybe dark matter or other unknown resources, matter or energies? We don't know, but maybe this is a good time to start thinking about how to make it cheaper and not to repeat the same game, just to create the new one. There were some ideas about teleportation. We saw several science fiction movies about teleportation. Is there any safe and efficient teleportation? Is it possible? Try to think about it, because I think that this can really be crucial in opening the space for us. But now let's go back to the Earth. What we can do for cheaper price than so many money, for launch, for rockets, for spaceships. Maybe there is something cheaper that we can start doing here on Earth. Start prepare our body, our minds, and our future to be on the moon, to be on Mars maybe. These times are coming, and for sure we will land on the moon, we will be back on the moon, for sure we will be someday on Mars. Maybe still all we will witness all these crucial for civilization moments. And here you can see a parabolic flight that can be done for roughly 5,000 euros in Europe. I don't know how can it be done in your country. If you know, please write me, because I'm very curious, interested in such information. So basically, there is a special plane needed with very strong engines that can make a parabolas in a way that you will feel free fall. So this kind of plane is making 30 parabolas. So you can range with gravity forces from 0g to 1.8g, depending on the parabola site, location where you are in. And during this 30 parabolas, you can perform some short time experiments of how your body feels. You can think of different kind of experiments that you can test, because of course people, when they are doing these parabolas, mostly they are scientists or engineers, and they try to develop new technologies for space. There are also tourists. You can be a tourist and just fly and enjoy this microgravity environment. You can also train here on Earth gravity forces acting on your body in different axes. So you can get these forces on your chest, on your legs, in different axes, as I told you. And for this, we use human centrifuges. And there are many in the world of such centrifuges. I'm sure you have something like this. Maybe in India you have, maybe in China, for sure they have. So you can go there and ask them to train you. Here in Poland, we have collaboration with institute that has this kind of human centrifuge, and we try to run our studies for astronaut training. So same as astronaut, more or less the same as real astronauts have. And here is my partner, Matt, who is just starting performing the Soyuz flight profiling. So he will have the similar forces as during the Soyuz launch and landing. And here is the centrifuge control center and operator. We also test different types of gases acting on our body, mostly lack of these gases. In case of decompression of this spaceship, you may feel lack of oxygen, lack of air, and we try to see what happens with your brain during this kind of conditions in hyperbaric chambers. Also, we collaborate with a military institute of aviation medicine, and here these are hyperbaric chamber. This is a hyperbaric chamber, and you see Indian girl Udhaya Kartika training with us. And this is the test, the cognitive test. So with hyperbaric environment, in hyperbaric environment, you need to fill in special tests like you see here. Okay, the next thing what you can train already here on Earth, and it is quite cheap, it's to build your own rocket. You know that you cannot fly to space without a rocket. We say in Latin, per aspera ad astra. Yes, so you have to have your aspera, your rocket, in order to get to the stars. So we also, as an analog astronaut training center, organize workshops, rocket workshops, together with Polish Rocket Society. So here you see each year we create a new rocketeers. And this is how we launch our rockets and test them. They fly usually on 400 meters altitude. And here, I hope I can show you. Yeah, it's kind of nice end of hard work of building the rocket model. We also develop, design, and hand make our parachutes. We test them. Here you see tests, parachute testing before the balloon stratospheric mission. So another thing what we could all do in the world to prepare to go to space is, of course, stratospheric mission. Stratosphere is a layer of the atmosphere that is about 30 kilometers above the ground. This is very interesting area to explore, to lift your CubeSats, to lift your telemetry devices, your cameras, because already there you can see dark sky and beautiful Earth. So our dream, personally, my dream, is to build a habitat in the stratosphere, so humans could see the beautiful curvature of the Earth. And here again, you can see how we launch this kind of balloons. We collaborate with India. So India students, they send us CubeSats to Poland, and then we trace these CubeSats together, so we get telemetry links for Indian students, and they can trace their CubeSats, where they are located on the map. The map is integrated with Google Map, so it is very easy and nice to control the flight. And then, of course, we are recovering the cargo, collecting the data logs, and sending them back to India. So this is possible to be done with us, despite that we are in Poland and you are in India, in Bangladesh actually. And here I wanted to show you the balloon launch. So of course, first you need to have some gas to inflate the balloon. That is lighter, of course, than air, and we always fly on hydrogen because it is the cheapest gas here. And here you go. So first is balloon, then a parachute, telemetry, so all devices to communicate, and finally the cargo, our capsule with several CubeSats, and this is Indian capsule. Here you see beautiful Earth, and here is the capsule recovery somewhere in Poland. So you see, it is very interesting experiment. We run stratospheric missions several times during the year, so you can write to us and fly with us. I think it is very great adventure and very nice point to start adventure with near space environment, because stratosphere is called also near space environment. And what you can do in the stratosphere, you can do some experiments. For example, I'm a biologist, so I was doing some experiments with stress for plants. And because of these publications and other activities, I got a job in European Space Agency. So I think it is worth considering this if you want to develop in the space sector, if you want to make this kind of career. We also run air, land, water trainings. These are individual trainings for people who would like to train their bodies, train their psychology in order to be better as a candidate for astronaut. And in order to do this, we realized that we need to have laboratory simulation base to run simulations of lunar and Martian missions. We started this concept in 2016. We had no money, so this is normal thing that these kind of projects, they require lots of money. We had no money, but if you are a smart person, you will find the money. I will tell you like this. So we found the money, and we are putting all our hearts and our souls in order to organize analog simulations and to develop, to carry this education internationally and make some nice space projects, space science projects. We are located near a private astronomical observatory, which belongs to my father. So my father has astronomical observatory, and we have a habitat. What is very good collaboration. Here you can see on the left side our former crews. We collaborated with several companies, associations, foundations, and there were beautiful collaborations during all these times from 2016. On the right side, you can see a Mission Control Center crews. So in such analog simulation, there are not only astronauts, but there are also some people working at the backstage, which is very nice and also very educational for all of us. So if you don't want to come here to the simulation base, but you want to do some Mission Control Center activity, you can join us remotely. this is not a problem. So you can start working with us. And up till now, we organized more than 20 missions, actually 26 analog simulations. They were both lunar, so with lunar conditions and Martian conditions. And here you can see all the crews. These photos, these slides were always made before the mission, so everyone is happy here. Of course, after they are also happy because they are finally free. Usually during analog missions, our analog astronauts, they have a lot of things to do, many scientific experiments, many testing procedures, operations. So this all time spent in the habitat is not a wasted time. It's absolutely not a wasted time. These people work, and I will show you what they can do. First of all, we develop something like a board computer of the habitat. This is something like a smart house, but with much more sensors, with much more artificial intelligence packed into this system. This system is developed by my partner, Matt, but there are many people who want to join to this project. Then we have scientific people who are realizing with us PhDs or master science degrees. They are making their licentiates and they are publishing with us. For example, here, my friend Marcel Młynczak was testing his device, pneumonitor. You can see here. Oh, do I have an arrow? I don't. But you see this device. And we asked astronauts to test this device in isolation in the habitat. Another study that we did during our analog simulations were related with subjective time perception. Maybe you know, now Thomas Pasquet is training for subjective time perception experiment in Astronaut Center, and he will perform subjective time perception studies on ISS soon, once he will be launched. So subjective time perception is a very hot topic, actually now studied also by real astronauts. We are doing several problems we are trying to solve here on Earth in our analog environment. Our analog environment is a house that is specially adapted to the habitat functionality. So it should contain several laboratories, and here you see the main plan of the habitat. We have a bedroom where analog astronauts are sleeping. They are also training yoga there. They are watching movies during their free time, or building some Lego spaceships, depending what they want to do in their free time. Every day they have 1 hour of free time. Then we have a kitchen and laboratory, which is a clean laboratory. Then we have Geolab, where we are running geological studies, when we are running 3D printing. So it is quite far from locations where we might, where it can be noisy and it can be disturbed where it can disturb other people. So we have Geolab, we have gym with a treadmill and bike and some other issues, but they are not labeled here on this plan. And then, of course, we have bathroom, shower, and toilet. This is standard thing. And what is unique, what is different from a regular house, is that we have a habitat sensory system. Here you can see one example of a display that is visible to Mission Control Center, to also analog astronauts. We have several parameters that are measured continuously during whole period of the analog simulation, which is usually 2 weeks. So 14 days of isolation. habitat sensors, how they are situated inside the base. We have several cameras that are mostly used for safety reasons. Then we have special multi-sensors measuring humidity, air condition, temperature, pressure, power consumption, light illumination, many these types of data. And then we have a single purpose sensors, for example, to measure oxygen level, to measure, I don't know, CO2 or CO. So we usually, depending on scientific experiments that we run in the base, we also use very specific sensors in the habitat. And what is also very interesting, we use a special lighting system that is a prototype of sunlight simulator for isolated spaces. And this is my project coming from ESA. When I was working in ESA, I was developing a special spectrum that will simulate sunlight. Why this is so important? This is important, of course, for humans, that they will produce appropriate levels of vitamin D, urocainic acid, endorphins, serotonin. This is very important, especially during long-term missions. So the light. And now, even in COVID, when we are sitting mostly in our homes, we are exposed to artificial light, what may cause some depression. That is why we are developing this kind of lighting system. And we collaborate with Geolab company, a laboratory of light company that developed for us special prototypes. You see here we have 5 channels that we can modulate, we can program, and we can observe the reaction, physiological reaction of human body on this kind of lighting system. We also develop special sensors tightly connected with the body of astronauts, and we design this kind of sensors for the t-shirt to measure all physiological parameters. Another thing, what we do during analog simulations, we develop new materials that can be produced in situ, meaning that can be produced in space. So we bring some microbiomes, some bacteria, some yeasts, and we produce nanocellulose, which you see here on this slide as a bronze rectangles. And also you can use this nanocellulose produced by these bacteria to many different kind of functions. Now what we are doing, we try to develop a 3D printing technique for 3D print nanocellulose. So this is also a very interesting topic. And we publish. This is the main outcome, what we want to reach. So each our analog astronauts should have a publication as a souvenir after this kind of training. And here you see examples. So we already published several papers about bacterial cellulose and how to produce eco-friendly textiles that are biodegradable. This can be also used on Earth, not only in space. We try also to involve our natural neuronal networks, our brain, to use several dimensions to play with different kind of surfaces and dimensions by using origami technique. We also develop new hydroponic and aquaponic systems, everything what can be done in your house. So how to become a self-sustaining cell, a self-sustaining habitat, especially in these COVID times. I think this is very interesting and inspiring topic. Here you see our last version of aquaponic system made by Emma and Hugo from France. 2 weeks ago, they built this aquaponic system together with previous astronauts from Destiny mission. And this is how it looks now. And then we are trying different kind of regolith simulants in Geolab and try to grow plants, try to analyze all basic elements, concentration of heavy metal uptake, many things, many types of reactions, many types of analysis. And analysis mostly are done in the laboratory in our collaborator universities. So we only make experiments, same like on International Space Station, and then the samples, the ready samples, are going back to the laboratory on fancy equipment, very sophisticated analysis, and this can be published. I guess this is the most important thing. What else we do? One of our teams, as there were two teams of Bright project, they wrote a book during their analog simulations, and this is the book that will be released very soon, within 1-2 weeks, until the end of November. It should be ready to be downloaded in PDF version from our website. We will also announce everything on our Facebook profile. So please, if you are interested in such things, what I'm saying, please like our Facebook profile, and you will be updated with all activities, what we are doing, what we have done, and of course what we are planning to do. So you can easily jump in to our projects. And for this, I think I have We provide all these kind of things, what you see on this movie. So yes, so join us, please, and I hope you liked the lecture. If you have any questions, you can ask me on the Facebook profile. I would like one more time to thank Dr. Pretam Kumar Das. Yes, for inviting me.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
And I hope you found it interesting. Please write me what could be even more interesting for you to learn. What could I tell for you? And thank you so much. Welcome and collaborate with us.
Yeah. So thank you very much, madam, for your wonderful lecture. I think students have learned a lot of things about the training system of astronaut. So if you allow, we can start our discussion session. We have got some questions. So it is a new type of topics we have introduced in our lecture. So thanks again for accepting our invitation. So we have got some questions. So what type of opportunity are available for analog astronaut training? Can you hear me, madam?
I think I didn't hear the correct question. Could you repeat it one more time,
okay,
please?
You can stop share. You can stop share. I can add the question in the screen. You can see the question in the screen. I have added the question.
Yes.
So what type of opportunities are available for analog astronaut training?
What type of opportunities are after Analog Astronaut Training Center? After? Well,
yeah, are available for are available for analog astronaut training. Available.
I think I don't.
Okay, you can come inside the SteamYard. You can come inside the SteamYard screen. I have added the question,
Oh,
so you
you
can
have
see the
you
question.
have them in a chat somewhere?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have added the in the screen.
Oh,
You can
thank you.
come in
Yes,
the
now I
screen.
see. What type of opportunities are available for analog astronaut training? You mean in our company or in general? And yeah, first of all, do you mean in our company?
Maybe okay. Yeah, maybe in your analog training center.
Okay, so in our company, we offer several type of training. So we offer human centrifuge training, diving training, skydiving training, flying training, all types of flying. So you can fly as a pilot. We can teach you how to be a pilot. Then we can teach you how to be. Sorry, decline. We can teach you how to be an astronaut using cognitive tests, same as there are in recruitment processes in European Space Agency. Then we can train you how to survive. We are doing similar trainings as real astronauts have in caves, in terrain, in forest. So this is kind of survival training. Then, of course, we can offer analog simulations, so you can participate as an analog astronaut in our habitat in analog simulation, and it can be either lunar analog simulation or Martian one. And then we can offer you a participation in a rocket workshop, in stratospheric mission workshop, in stratospheric mission. So we have plenty of things to do. And of course, we are offering you realization of your thesis. So for example, you can have your supervisor in Bangladesh, and you can have a co-supervisor as me in Poland, and we can do a project together. So this is also possible.
Yeah, great. So I think many of our students may write to you for collaboration work. So there is another
Yes.
question. So what is the cost of basic training?
We don't have something like basic training, but okay. We assume that basic training is definitely participation in analog simulation, and for now, depending on the mission, how many experiments are on board of the habitat, how many experiments you want to do, the price is about, well, we usually do this like 1,000 Polish zloty. This means, let me tell you, this means like 200 euro per one mission. So 200 euro per 2 weeks mission. But this is like a standard price. Depending on the experiments, this can be either cheaper or more expensive.
Thank you,
For
madam.
stratospheric mission, yeah, I will only explain. For stratospheric mission, so we are mostly flying for free if you have your own capsule or your own samples. So this we can carry for free. So you only need to invest in your equipment or your experiment. So this is cheap, sort of. Then for rocket workshop, it is again something about 250 euro. Again, 1000 Polish zloty, 1,000 Polish zloty.
Thank you, madam. We have another question.
So that.
So do you? Okay. So do you create artificial zero gravity situation? If yes, how this gets created?
Thank you for this question. This is very interesting question. Yes, we do, we create artificial zero gravity situation, and this is made using random positioning machines. You can see them on our Facebook profile, Analog Astronaut Training Center. These machines, they are rotating randomly, so the gravity vector, the averaged gravity vector equals 0. This is our simulation of gravity environment. And we are using this not for humans, because then we would be like all the time shaking. Not for humans, but we are doing this for plants and for microorganisms and for small, for example, flies, fruit flies, larvae or pupas. So for small insects. Yes.
Okay, so madam, is there any fellowship or scholarship for students in your institute?
We would love to have one, but until now we don't have any external funding. We are a private company, and of course, we sponsor as much as we can, but we cannot sponsor, for example, the flight to Poland and back. We cannot sponsor sometimes food, but we try to write grants. And for example, we get a grant for testing our prototype. And this grant money, they can cover participation in the analog simulation for free, for example. This we can. But scholarship, not yet. We cannot provide, unfortunately. We would love to. We would love to, and we will work on it.
Yeah, thank you, madam. So this may be the last question. So can you please say some requirements for astronaut in your company?
Yes. So of course, you need to be healthy. This is the most important requirement. And we also search for motivated people. We have usually two classes of people. One, they are crazy passionates about space. Sometimes they are not really seriously treating this environment, which is our habitat. They simply want to have a holiday inside of the habitat. And so we always ask you for your CV, curriculum vitae. We want to see what is your education, and this is because we want to to customize experiments that are inside the habitat to you. Because if you are, for example, a physicist, you would be very bored about when you will get biological experiments in the habitat. So we need to know what is your specialization, and then we can customize special experiments for you. Then we are very much carefully looking at the motivation letter. So CV, motivation letter, and health statement. And these three things. Motivation letter, we want to know what you want to reach. What do you expect? Because we want to give you everything what you want, and even more. So, for example, you want to work in NASA, yes, after this. So we need to know how to organize work inside the habitat for you, that you will have increased chances to work in NASA, yes, something like this. So that's what we are doing. So this we need. And of course, you need to be healthy, because experiments in isolation for 2 weeks, they require very good health, and not only physical health, but also psychological health. Mostly people, they even cannot say if they can sustain 2 weeks of isolation in confined space. So many people, our analog astronauts, they already learned this during the mission. So this was also very interesting experience for them, to experience their limits. Yes.
Thank you, madam, for your nice lecture and wonderful discussion session, madam. So I think students have learned a lot of things about this field. So thanks again for accepting our invitation. It was a great webinar with you, madam. So students have learned a lot of things. So hopefully in near future, we will arrange another webinar with you. So bye for today. See See you very soon, madam.
Thank you, sir, very much for your invitation, and thank you, students. And I wish we can collaborate together.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Of course, I will contact with you about this. Thanks.